Good morning.
Morning, everyone.
Good morning. Mm. Let's wait a bit for Ichaka. He should be joining. I'm not sure if William is around today. And I see a new person, Serhi. Good morning.
Yes, hi.
Hey, welcome. So he comes with a proposal we discussed a little bit last week, so maybe we can first address his proposal. That way, if he needs the time to do other things in his day, he can finish early.
Sure thing.
I mean, sure, I can start. Do we need to wait for someone? Also, thanks.
Ichaka should be joining. Let's give him one more minute. We were in a call right before, so I think he's around. Probably looking for the Zoom link.
Yeah.
Until he comes, because he already knows that, let me just say early in the call for anyone that doesn't watch the full recording that what we are trying to do this week is get for one out. There aren't many issues left for it. We're just trying to wrap it up, testing some things on Hadron, like testing it on NVIDIA Thor, um, and some documentation. If I recall correctly, we will go through the individual tickets later, but that's what we're trying to get out this week. And also cutting a new Hadron release to incorporate in the new Kairos release that will include fixes for the latest Linux CVEs, so people can consume our artifacts if they don't build it themselves, that is. But I think we already bumped the kernel to version 7. We have to check, but I think we already bumped it. I'm not sure if we merged it though. There was a pull request that bumped the kernel to a fixed version of the Linux kernel, the kernel in Hadron, I mean. Yeah. So that said, since Chaka is not around, maybe Serhi, you want to start?
Yeah, sure. Just need to brief a bit about what I've been doing to understand the context. So, I've been building internally some kind of a custom provisioner that would be able to integrate in different things, right? And the first thing that I wanted to integrate is Metal Cube. I'm probably aware what it is. Yeah, and that's the context, right? But looking at AuroraBoot specifically, I noticed that there are very similar approaches that I'm taking and AuroraBoot takes, right? And I noticed there is also a Redfish support in there, kind of full in terms of official spec, right? Um, But there is a general problem with Redfish when it comes to some strange servers, right? So when something is like very OEM-ish, it will not work generally, and you would have to either fall back to APMI or buy another server, anything, right? In my case, I've did internal PSC around integrating kind of a proxy BMC thing that allows you to write custom integrations into Redfish. We know that Redfish is basically like HTTP with REST API, so you just need to pull stuff around. So what I was thinking is to maybe we can collaborate on AuroraBoot specific Redfish integration and add some kind of a scripting language into it, interpreted language. I would say like Lua, JS, or whatever we can agree upon, and have like this as a customizable thing, like I have internally. Basically, that will allow implementing the client side of things as a script, basically, right? So you can put it in the config map and allow it to for I don't know, like DevOps or SRE people that deploy all the provisioning to update it directly in the environment specifically. It would be like another flavor of Redfish, not replacing any of the stock Redfish, like generic. I saw that there was also, I think, HP, YOLO stuff in there. Like it would be just another flavor that allows you to write stuff in scripting language.
I didn't fully get it, to be honest. So when the Redfish implementation doesn't cut it, you want to run something else on top of it, right?
No, not exactly. I'm thinking that there will be like another module that has integrated, let's say, binding to JavaScript runtime in Golang, and all the functions that you can use to communicate to Redfish, like HTTP client, curls, and all of that wrappers, are basically exposed to a JS script. I'm just taking as example JS, right? As a JS script that is not compiled into AuroraBoot, but it can fetch it from a local file or config map, whatever. And basically this script can be configurable from a side of a engineer that deploys the lab itself. And in case of Redfish, it's basically HTTP-based interactions that allows you to basically support any kind of OEM version at Redfish server in every wildest dreams of OEMs, because like I have few servers that if you talk to them as a Redfish, as vanilla Redfish, they will not work, but there I have custom like virtual media endpoints, and you can implement them just by writing a few lines of code, basically. And you can't generalize on that, because your generalization is already an upstream spec that doesn't work for few OEMs and few points. Basically, it depends on servers. Some points just have custom OEM endpoints for virtual media. Some for some reason don't want to work with like power cycling even.
For context, I'm also adding a pull request that said he opened in the bare metal operator for Metal Cube. Obviously, that will take time for everyone to review, but maybe that helps also understand.
Yeah, for Metal Cube, I took Starlark as an example how to integrate similar approach as a out of tree, basically some script that you can write without compiling stuff in. We don't have to take Starlark. It was big. That's basic. I mean, the choice was because it has two imports. to import. That's all. If we compare it to something other, it will probably have more. JS, for example, if you take modern JS from modern C, it will have like 5 or 6 packages to import to in the runtime. Also works. I've tested JS also. So I'm here basically to talk about this idea, and if it looks interesting, we can discuss what are the restrictions. I assume you don't want CGO, so that would be probably first restriction. Maybe like some preferences on the language itself. I would like to have it as a text language, so no WASM. I know that WASM works. I tested it, but there is a memory management problem there, because you still need to write bunch of memory management from the runtime side. Looks ugly. So that's I don't want to go in that place.
One thing I was thinking is that maybe we could somehow make it pluggable, like we do our providers on Kairos, so that it doesn't necessarily need to live on the AuroraBoot code itself, but AuroraBoot talks through some sort of, I don't know, bus layer to this dynamic language. What is it, like transpiler or I don't know what it would be.
It will be interpreted language. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Sounds
that
very
way we
good to me,
separate.
to be honest.
Yeah.
No idea about the language. I will go to something simple, maybe like Lua. I know that things like Engines and stuff like that has chosen Lua for their like scripting. No idea why, but the idea sounds very good to me. Like if we can support things that are supposed to be supported by a standard, but they are not, with something simpler like that, it's always great to have more compatibility with hardware and less problematic for deployments, to be honest. It's always the problem, I will say.
Hey, William, it's nice that William is here, because to be honest, I don't
William.
have much experience with Redfish. I don't know if anyone else in the team does besides William. So maybe he could be the one that can talk more about it. Yeah, I don't know. But obviously, he's just coming in, so maybe we have to update him also.
Yeah, good morning, guys. Sorry.
Good morning.
Need to start driving back to the Netherlands. Yeah, what's up?
Yeah, hi. I was talking about integrating some kind of interpreted language into AuroraBoot for implementing a Redfish client, basically. So either JS or Lua or whatever you think about as a runtime, and allowing the client itself the logic, not the bare bones functions of HTTP, basically. The logic customizable from a side of like plain script as a file or as a config map, if we're talking about running a robot in Kubernetes. So it will be able to be customized as from a standpoint of engineer that deploys the lab, not the developer itself, like of the project, I mean.
I see.
It would be replacing what AuroraBoot currently does for Redfish. I see we have a Redfish command. First of all, my first question, I haven't never used it. It seems to me like an explicit command. You run it. It's not like net booting, right? You run AuroraBoot Redfish with flags and
right.
What can it do currently? What are the distinct actions it can do? Just provision a machine?
Right. And it is based on the standard Redfish, and it is a command. Yes, but it was experimental, and there is a lot of testing needed. But what I think Sergey is saying is not to use something like this. Is to give to AuroraBoot the ability to ingest a runtime scripting that can talk to Redfish. Is that correct, Sergey?
Yeah, but just as another flavor. It has already like generic flavor, I think, ELO flavor and something else flavor. So we just have like another flavor. If no native support for specific vendors are in, you can use custom thing. That's the idea, because you'll
Right.
probably
The flavors you're
will never
referring to
support all
are
of them.
the vendor flag we currently have. Is that the flavor? Because we also call flavors in Kairos. You don't mean that. You mean a Redfish kind of
Yeah,
flavor.
yeah. Because like each vendor has
All right.
it's a spec. It's a REST spec that says that there are endpoints
Yeah.
that are static, but there are also ability for OEM vendored in endpoints, and each vendor as a company that sells you a server has different views on how to implement Redfish, right? So you have
Yes.
flavors of them to support specific HP stuff, Dell stuff, whatever stuff. So you end up either like implementing the core thing plus vendors, or you have, or you're not using Redfish basically, because when you buy some strange server, probably it will not work.
Yeah. So the problem, maybe what Seri is not saying is that while the MTF, while Redfish is a standard from the MTF, every vendor implement their own. So you cannot off the bat say, okay, we support Redfish for HP, for Dell, for Supermicro, for everyone, and we are sure that it's going to work with everyone. We literally would have to test them
Oh
all.
my God.
And
So they created a standard so everybody can implement their own.
exactly.
For sake.
Precisely what happened. So that was the problem that I had with Redfish, right? I think it makes a lot of sense, Seri, but you are mentioning Lua. For some reason, it escapes me now. But there was another scripting language. One that starts with a S.
Yeah, I've talked about it. Yeah, I've used Starlark for a runtime
Starlark, yes.
for BMO. It's kind of weird language because it's from, I think, Meson build system, right? But the only reason that I've taken this as an example to Metal Cube is has two imports, has no support in core library. Basically, you implement any kind of function that you want on the runtime side. So basically, it's very hermetic in terms of security, and it's backed by Google. That's all. I mean,
I think Starlark is made by Meta.
I don't know the origins, but specifically for a Go runtime, it's under Google
Okay.
org.
Yeah.
I don't have any preferences. I don't like Starlark, just to be clear.
Yeah,
It's a Pythonic-like language, but the reason is because two imports and simple to talk about from a security standpoint. It doesn't have to be specifically Starlark. We can change.
There is also, I mean, if we want to make it consistent, there is also the pure Go from, I think it's from the, I don't remember now, there is like a dialect of Go also that can be included in Go itself, like scripted. I don't know if you heard about it.
Can I ask something before we go into technical details? I mean, we can still discuss it, or we can open a ticket to come up with ideas about the language. I just wonder, on the AuroraBoot side, what is the piece of information AuroraBoot has that script will not have? Because as far as I can see, in the current Redfish command, everything is Redfish specific except for the ISO. So the only thing the AuroraBoot side knows that the script doesn't know is the ISO AuroraBoot produced. To ask it differently, if you had that script we are talking about that could provision your servers, what do you need AuroraBoot for?
No. I mean, I don't want to run it as a standalone script. I want to script the client itself and integrate it into AuroraBoot. And it's not. I mean, if there was a task to have something to like, let's plug in some kind of generated ISO from one source and drive the some weird server out there, I would take basically Ansible playbook for that and use most of the models plus the curl, and that's all. I don't need any code changes, right? The idea is that I'm integrating directly into the project and have everything, every bit that I need in the interpreted runtime itself. So basically, I'm just writing a custom code, not specifically for this specific server, but I can as a general client that understands all the servers, and I'm writing it one time, and I'm just using the default flow of provisioning of a robot. I don't touch it ever again after I'm implementing the client communication itself.
So you mean the script understands all your servers? Because as far as I understand, every Redfish implementation could be different. So you would be doing the work once to create a script that understands your own infrastructure. Maybe you have 3 different types of servers, right? So your script understands them all, can provision them all, and from there on you don't have to care how it gets deployed. You still use Kairos tooling, which is AuroraBoot in this case.
Yes, I can cover with one script all the servers that I have, basically whatever, like probing the endpoint or switching based on vendor, however I want. All the knowledge that I can get from the HTTP endpoint of the Redfish, I can glue it into the server. And AuroraBoot itself and the Kairos project itself doesn't care about how I implement the script. That's the whole point, right? I'm outsourcing that script to the deployments. The AuroraBoot and Kairos itself is generally like shipping the ability to write to run this custom integration. That's all. You don't need to ship the script itself because you already ship the generic HP and all of that. No need to implement the specific script. Maybe like a demo if you want to, but the only thing that needs to be shipped is the interpreted part. That's all.
It makes sense.
But still, essentially, what AuroraBoot would be feeding the script would be the ISO. There's no other piece of information.
No.
No.
No, it would fit. It would implement the generics. It would implement the scaffolding for the script to work on.
Okay, there will be some kind of interface, but looking at the current command, all the flags the Redfish command takes, the current one, I mean, from all the flags, the only piece of information that was built from AuroraBoot is the ISO. The rest is password, username, endpoint. These are Redfish specific. You would still need to provide them somehow or auto detect them in your script. But the piece the script doesn't care about, obviously you don't want the script to care about, is building the artifact to boot, right?
Yes, for sure. I don't want to. That's the
so
whole
that's the
point of
responsibility of
integration.
AuroraBoot. So AuroraBoot builds the artifact, and the script auto detects what kind of host it is, the endpoints, and how to feed the artifact to them. Is that correct?
Yeah,
And accurate?
maybe do some power cycling magic and order boot order, and that's all. Yes.
So the contract between AuroraBoot and the script is going to be just one endpoint, deploy this thing on everything or on that host.
Endpoint from the Redfish side, even.
So AuroraBoot has to talk to the script somehow. So we need some contact points. That's the API between the script and AuroraBoot. So we have to abstract it. AuroraBoot shouldn't know the details of the script. So it will talk to the script in specific ways. Maybe list hosts, for example, if you auto detect them, and then the current command is provision the host. That's what the current command does. So it's going to be the API is going to be 2 endpoints maybe between AuroraBoot and the script.
I'm not sure. I need to look at the code itself, but maybe more, maybe less. But in general, it will be similar to existing client. I'm not going to extend anything further than that.
Okay. I mean, it sounds good to me. Just keep in mind that AuroraBoot is the backend of other tools as well. So the operator also consumes AuroraBoot for everything. So if you start using the Kairos operator to do the same operations, we would have to propagate down, add the same options in the operator and propagate them down to AuroraBoot to do the same stuff. And also maybe the web UI as well, the new one we're building. So there is going to be a little bit more work if we want to expose this new functionality on the whole stack of the Kairos tooling.
I don't see a problem with that. I mean, if we have this working, I can do PRs, not a big deal.
Okay, and it sounds to me that it's very separated work. It's not. It doesn't require. I mean, it doesn't make rebases hard or anything. It's completely separate, right? You introduce the API and you start implementing it.
Yeah, the work that I done on Redfish, it was, if you remember, Dimitris, was on purpose. Let's say protected from the rest of the code, or maybe I should say the rest of the code was protected from the work that I did on the Redfish. But I'm going to look it up, and I'm going to check, and I'm going to extend if needed. But Sergey, maybe you stay active on the Kairos channel, so that you I don't know, you mentioned this, or we look into it. I'm also interested in how to implement it. And if Ettore, if you remember what that Go scripting language, I don't know which one.
That's from Traffic, but I don't think it's a good choice in terms of I don't know, like the runtime is very heavy. Like it takes around a second to run something if you compare it to other languages.
Okay.
Maybe the first thing is to have one ticket that it's a spike telling which are the languages that are being considered and why, so that everyone can put eventually a vote. And obviously we don't have. Yeah.
No, sorry. My only concern is to mix languages. I mean, speed. There, 1 second of speed. Does it really matter? For instance, I mean, I would prefer maintainability. In the long run, because if you start to draw, I don't know, Starlark or Lua, or they are completely different things, different beasts. But I mean, that's my take. But
I think that's why we need a ticket where we can document all of that, and also how it will integrate with AuroraBoot. Because for me, the main issue would be that somehow this doesn't start blocking releases of AuroraBoot, for example, because there is some CVE on the dependency or whatever. So that could be another part. Like, is the integration to put all the dependencies directly on the code base, or do we have some sort of way of extending AuroraBoot? Like, I don't know, you install AuroraBoot for Redfish, maybe. Anything like that.
But couldn't it? This is maybe a question for Seri, or a question for everybody. Couldn't it just be the AuroraBoot runs the payload and so provides the primitive and a way to run the payload for the server, and the payload being that script, so that there is no blocking. In that case, the whole implementation is on the, let's say, is on the desk of whoever is managing or deploying or handling those specific servers, and AuroraBoot just continues to provide the scaffolding to run that payload. Does it make sense?
Yeah, like a hook script, you mean? Like
right.
So we don't need to care what the script is implemented in, right? As long as we call it with the right flags and the script implements the flags.
Yeah, that's something like that. Yeah, indeed.
Yeah, I think we're all on the same page on that. Yeah.
We'll need a reference implementation, though, just to show people how to do that. So, but yeah, that could be anything.
I mean, if you write it as a just CMD exec, basically, if I understand correctly, that would also be a problem in terms of how much memory and latency you introduce. I mean, yes, you can do it. It's kind of that would be a very simple solution to a pluggable system, right? You just write in any language you want, and that's all. But keep in mind that if you want, I mean, if you I don't know, like I don't think that let few seconds plus the latency and the memory issue that you can introduce, you will also introduce a very big point of running anything in your if you're running a ROBOT in container, basically you're introducing a security issue, right? You can run anything because you exactly architecting for that. This is the core why the core idea why I've chose Starlark as an example for Metal Cube, because by default it can't do anything outside of the runtime, like no external functions, very hermetic, and you specifically add what you want. You want to do curl, okay, write Go code that will expose a function to a runtime that will basically do HTTP request. If you want to read environment variable, write it. That's the idea. If we're talking about doing CMD exec, we're basically exposing everything everywhere.
No, wait a minute. Sorry, that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying to build something to run a payload that can run anything. I'm saying something that, first of all, that can run HTTP REST request to a Redfish endpoint. But this is one. Of course, we have to do a spike to understand how that would look like. But the other question is latency. So any sort of servers that has a Redfish that exposes a Redfish endpoint, that means that has a BMC, and a second or 2 seconds or even 10 seconds latency, what would matter? I mean, just the RAM. We're talking of minutes when we're booting a system. If it's a system with GPU, sometimes one of the large systems with GPU, sometimes we're talking even of 30 minutes or 20 minutes. So why latency would be an issue on those situations?
Latency on the runtime itself, not the latency on the operation. Basically, each call that you do, if you do it from the for exec-v, right, thing like the C thing, it will clone the all the stacks to a different process, and it will run. That's the thing that I was mentioning, not the latency of the operation itself. So plus the latency of the operation, it will take a lot of time.
Yeah, it sounds to me like the implementation as well has to be documented, right? Like because I don't think, for what I'm listening to, that the team has experience on this domain exactly. So maybe we just need a structured definition of why it needs to be done in a certain way. What are the drawbacks, so that we can also give you feedback on, okay, if we need to do it in that way, these are the kind of dependencies that we will be okay with, and with which ones not.
Let me suggest a simple approach. Let's try to do very PSC implementation using Starlark. We can throw it out, but we just put bunch of code and test it against some real environment. We will see how the integration works, because I know exactly what functions I need to implement from the runtime itself. It's just a matter of choosing a language. I can just like build something up in a week maybe or so. We can come back to see how it looks, how it feels, and after that we can decide specifically what language we can take. That would be probably better, because any language that we will take in terms of the script itself will still need to implement all those base functions of HTTP stuff, and also handling all the very strange interactions that Will mentioned with the PMC itself, because there are like, you need to rate limit stuff. And that basically means like mute access, you need to do stupid rate limiting via sleep, basically sometimes, because it doesn't work. And all that needs to be exposed into the script, not specifically in the runtime. Sometimes it needs to be, if you can implement it. Sometimes you just need to like give the ability to run sleep, because if you don't, server will break, and that's the actual real case.
Yeah, so this, to me, this is sounds like a good idea. But I would like to add one more thing though. Could you, if you want to stand up, let's say a proof of concept, let's call it like that. Could you also open an issue with against Aurora or in Kairos, and you mentioned the functions that are the scaffolding that you want to implement. Those functions that need to be implemented for sure. I think I know already, but if you could use that, and that we use it as a starting point to generate a spike, the spikes to generate anything else. How does it sound, guys?
Yep, sounds good to me.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, as well.
Yeah.
I posted the link to the new ticket. Sergey, you can grab it from the chat if you want to open a ticket, and let's collect all ideas there and the progress. And whenever you have something, feel free to jump in a call and show us your progress.
Yeah,
we can discuss more.
Yeah, sure. I'll open some general ticket right now, and afterwards I'll update.
Yeah, and thank you for the initiative. It's really cool that you come to us. Yeah.
Thank you. Can we move on to planning? Are we all good?
Sounds good. Yeah, feel free to stay, Serhi, or if you need to do something else, by all means, you can.
It's a public video, so.
Yeah, it's a bit early for me. I'll probably drop. Thank you.
Have a good one.
Thanks for joining.
Yeah.
All right, let me share my screen. You see the screen. Like I was saying in the beginning of the call, we're trying to get 401 out. Let me show you where it is right now and what's left. Go to roadmap. 4.1. There we are. All right. The Hadron QA. So we got a fix for Raspberry Pi thanks to Ichaka. NVIDIA, we know it's working on Thor except for trusted boot. Ichaka wanna tell us what doesn't work and what we do about it?
Currently on the Thor development side, we have support for everything under Hadron. We're still using, unfortunately, NVIDIA's kernel. We have no other choice but to use that because they have some patches that they haven't upstream to the kernel, so we're just stuck with 6.8. But at least we can run Hadron on NVIDIA Thor. We can use like the normal Kairos use case, works as expected. AB, you install it with a normal ISO. So you get a Kairos system out of there with your upgrades and your A and B and recovery and whatnot, right? But trusted boot doesn't work due to how they implement TPM. TPM under ARM is implemented differently. It uses the OPTI, which is in the ARM trust zone, is the secure part of the system, let's say. So TPM is kind of an application in there, which is on the non-secure part and just talks to the OPTI to use the secure stuff. The problem with that is that the OPTI doesn't have, or at least the TPM implementation of the OPTI doesn't have any storage by default, like the TPM things that they rely on storing things to a secure part in the disk, which means that it doesn't work with our implementation, right? We expect the TPM to have like an owner key, and we store the policy in that during the ISO part. And then on reboot, we just check that policy. In here, when we start from the ISO, the TPM is completely empty. We will have to initialize it. In fact, that is already giving us issues because it locks very fast. As soon as you just do one try, it locks the TPM fully, because as it's initialized from 0, it doesn't have any retries, it doesn't have any timeouts, it doesn't have anything. And yeah, so we could store the policy, but as soon as we reboot, it just goes away. And you will have to initialize it again. And of course, initializing it from scratch means like a new owner key, a new SRK. Basically, it's a different one. It doesn't use the same seed or hardware seed like other TPMs. So yeah, we cannot use it for trusted boot. We just need to bring this up to NVIDIA, see if there is anything we can do to fix this. Otherwise, we will have to implement ourselves something for this to fix it up.
Okay, but for this release, we're not. The only missing part would be trusted boot with Hadron on NVIDIA. My other question, because you mentioned we have to use the kernel from NVIDIA, for example, for CVEs like copy fail, do they patch it? Or what kind of a kernel is it? Well maintained? No?
No.
All right.
So usually they do a release and they freeze it because they have to have these things ready way long before they release the stuff. So for example, the last commit to this kernel 6.8 was like 8 months or 10 months ago. And there hasn't been any update to it in all that time. So
from our side, we'll probably have to disable the module, like the workaround that is suggested if you cannot patch the.
So on the site, I'm working because there is some freaking nice guys who deploy with Yocto, and they build their own stuff with Yocto, and they are open embedded for Tegra. That's an org in GitHub, and they are doing patches to the kernel to support newer releases and so on. I'm also doing some patches on the side to bring those to 6.19, for example. But there's still a lot of drivers that are only in the NVIDIA kernel that they haven't been upstream since like 2 years ago, maybe. Things that are very important, like the USB part from the Tegra and so on. So yeah, that's something else that we have to bring with NVIDIA to see if they can either put those things upstream or just build out-of-tree models. They have some nice out-of-tree models that we've been able to build under 6.19. So yeah, but it's just something that we need to bring it with them because currently everything under running the Jets on Linux that comes with Thor, it's affected by those kernel issues, and there is no fix.
Okay, it is what it is. I'm gonna check Raspberry Pi because you said it's working. NVIDIA, we're gonna check when it's done. Long running, I mean, okay, that's very open-ended. We're not gonna wait for a long time. We do have long running workloads. Like, I mean, I did bump my own server from Fedora to Hadron, went smoothly, and it's a long-running thing we're gonna see. So I don't expect any problems there.
Been running. I use the NVIDIA stuff also to run long-running workloads in there, and I was running workloads in K3s for like 1.5 weeks, no issues at all, very stable, very, and that was testing Hadron, so I would say it covers that.
All right, so this is almost done. Just wrapping it up. Blog post Hadron QA, that was the ticket I had open. Target a specific Linux kernel. I mean, we did discuss it last time. And I think there is a solution for people that want to do that. So I don't think we're gonna block this release
Problem
on
is
this one.
we haven't got any feedback from this, unfortunately, right? We provided some workarounds with Jeep to fix this, but we didn't get any info. I'm guessing it works. Usually, if it doesn't, you get the feedback very fast.
I would remove it from this release. You can push it if you want to, and next one we want to revisit it, but I wouldn't block this release on this ticket because there is not enough feedback to work on.
I think we have put in there just to answer, have like a direction, not really.
We have 1, 2, 3. We have lots of answers, so from our side at least.
Okay.
But yeah, feel free to remove it from this release. Confidential containers. The no Hadron one is waiting just for me to polish the nodes and make them and put them in docs. That's it. I already have the docs. I just have to polish them. So very small thing here. But I'm trying to make the Hadron one work on AWS. I already have it working with 4,000 kernel options, which I got from an Ubuntu image that boots on AWS with SevSNP. So I'm trying to find which of the option is the one I was missing. Then I'm bisecting that thing. But yeah, for non-Hadron one, it's just about docs. We already talked about NVIDIA Thor. And this one is just for /5.5. There was a request from someone, and there is a simple fix according to Ichaka. I have no idea how simple it is, but Ichaka commented it's simple, so we kept it in.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
So that's it, and we're almost there. So we're gonna have obviously to start bumping all dependencies, merging renovate PRs, making sure we have the fixes for the copy fail and the new one, which is called, what was it called? You mentioned it this morning, Edore. Frag something, the new CVE.
Dirty
frag. Yeah. So there is a new one with no patches. So yeah, we're gonna have to find a way, either disable the modules to work around it or wait for patches. But yeah, so this week is gonna be release week. Let's not plan too many things. Let's see what we already have planned and try to get the release out, because I remind everybody we're gonna be in Bologna next week, the whole team, presenting. I think we have 2 presentations, Mauro. You're presenting 2 things.
Yeah.
We're also gonna be there on booth duties, at least the ones of us from Spectro, because it's sponsoring the event. So the 4 of us are gonna be there as well. So that's it. Let me go to the board in the done. Yeah, there was this is Kairos init fix. We introduced one line of code that didn't take into account. So it was fixing an upgrade, I think, but it was the first time you were installing, it would fail. And we had that for a couple of releases in there. So we backported all the fixes, and there are patch releases on all the affected Kairos init. You can find them down here in my comments. And there's a warning in the affected releases to not use them and use the patched ones. So I'm not going to go into detail. It's already released. It's Kairos init. It's a build tool. So no Kairos release is affected only if you use the Kairos init, the affected Kairos init versions. Kubestellar, we closed it. It was just a leftover. We closed it last week. And this was closed automatically, but I think we still need that. It was a verified bug, I think. Or was it not? With lots of info. And oh man, that's old.
What is this? This, I think it requires confirmation. Because
I think I'll reopen because we don't know if it's fixed.
It should be fixed. The problem is that we have to test several versions. Yeah, we have to test an older Ubuntu to see if it behaves properly with boot assessment, and then a newer Ubuntu to see if it fixes properly, and then changing from one to the other. It's just a pain in the ass.
So that sounds like QA to do after we release?
Yeah.
Okay, where did it go now? It went under review. That's not bad. It should be under review. Someone has to do this, so leave it there. Okay, under review. What are we doing here? NVIDIA Thor. I think we merged everything we could merge. Chuck, anything actually really waiting for review for someone from someone else? Or
Not really. No, it's not even like anybody can review the stuff without a Thor. So
yeah. I just leave it there for you as a checklist, or
that's why is that checklist not?
Yeah.
Did we have another?
No idea. I leave it to you to clean it up, but it's sitting there in the under review column. So
I think there is another. Yeah, there is. Let's support NVIDIA Thor with Kairos and Ubuntu, and then support NVIDIA Thor with Kairos and Hadron. Sorry, I mixed both of those. Okay, okay. I'll update that. Sorry, I've been updating the Ubuntu one, which is already done for a while.
All right. Need a cleanup. This is the one I moved. QEMU guest agent to base header. I think we did that already, or did we not?
No, that's building the QEMU example for the guest agent, right? You just have to add a new example. Would be nice.
Well, why is it under review if there is nothing to review? I'll move it outside the review. I think we wanted to reply, but William has replied. Building custom images is proving complex, difficult to test, and also having built.
Yeah, we said. I remember that we said that this we wanted this in.
Yeah, it's going to do. Yeah.
Yeah. We just haven't decided who does that. Do we do it? If we do it, just put it here in the to do, or we'll let Daniel here try it, or there's nothing to review, so I'm gonna move here at least, and we decide if we do it or not. Extra SIMD line support, that was also waiting. Oh, I did review a couple of weeks back, and it doesn't work. And we left it here in case there is a reply, but there was no reply as far as I know. No K0S artifacts on latest releases. We decided we're gonna cut the release anyways. Can I close this then? I think, Mauro, you fixed that on the pipeline, right? It doesn't block.
I mean, we will find out if it actually works on this release.
Yeah, but we can close. I think it looks closed. Yeah, let's see. Away. Oh man. Appel setup hard codes. This break share gapped rel. I think I did a review on this and it was done. Yeah, we merged something. We merged something on Kairos init, and there has been a Kairos init release. So that was merged maybe 2 weeks ago, and we cut a release after that, so it should be in, right? So this was merged 2 weeks ago, and Kairos init had a release 3 days ago. Okay, I'm gonna close it, okay? The PR has been merged and a release of Kairos init has happened since closing. All right, this is gone. So, what do we have in progress? Wrapping up the NVIDIA Thor work, maybe even documenting it. Is that correct, Ichaka?
The documentation is done already. It's basically updating the cards and then making a follow-up card for things to discuss with NVIDIA.
All right. Okay. Confidential computing. This is the one with Hadron. It already works with Ubuntu. So for Ubuntu, we just want to document it. For Hadron, we just have to find the minimum set of options to make it work on AWS, because that's where I'm testing it. And I have 4,000 options, and somewhere in there's a working one. So I'm bisecting. It's going to take a while, but at least we have a working set of kernel options. Somewhere in there is the one we need. It's very hard to find it out because all the relevant ones are already enabled. So there's something I cannot tell. So I'm bisecting that, but we're getting there. Hadron on RISC-V 64. First of all, I just want to bring up, while working on this, I found out that some of the options we have. So the cloud config we use, we have 3 separate pipelines. I think we have separate configs for each architecture, I think.
Yeah.
And when I ran the all def config on them, it did bring a lot of changes on the RISC-V and the ARM one, which means we never ran it. So it kind of cleans up dependencies and all, removes options that don't make sense because their depths are missing and things like that. So on a PR I have open, which is not visible here, I'm trying to gate the PRs and run it. So if it hasn't been run, we run just to be able to commit the applicable options, the options that in the end do apply in the build, because otherwise we may look at the files we committed and think, oh, we have this enabled, but in the end it may not be enabled. And that's the case with RISC-V and ARM. But anyway, so this was a spike. It already builds. Can we close this? Are we actually doing anything more on this ticket? Do we need follow-up tickets? If it was just a spike, we don't mean to complete the support for it.
I think there is one missing thing for that. We should do a follow-up. Mauro, the release pipelines are separated, right? So we're currently building the RISC image, but not pushing it anywhere.
Yeah, indeed. I think we only need the latest release of Hadron to test that out, and then decide whether we want it on this release or the next, probably for the next, I guess, or a patch release to avoid blocking.
But that's not a spike. Can we create a follow-up ticket? I mean, if we already tested, things are building, this is enough of a spike. So the other one is finalizing the support to me.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think it would be good if we could just merge that release part, which is just a pipeline. So we could cut it and on Bologna just claim, well, we just added RISC support, you know?
Yeah.
It was very simple. It took 3 days to add RISC support. So, you know, as a,
and a month to close the
PR.
PR.
It is true. It took 3 days, more or less, right? It wasn't that difficult. So.
Indeed. And I think that's one of the things I would like to promote on other events, the fact that our setup made this really simple. We didn't see much challenge. As soon as we got help to have the hardware, everything else was easier, because there is an issue with the virtualization version that if you run it locally, at some point the whole thing just gets stuck. It happens the same with ARM, so it's not a RISC-V particular problem, but more of a QEMU problem. So yeah, that was quite beneficial.
Just so you know, they have a RISC specific conference summit, and that's Bologna. I'm just saying.
Yeah, they invited us.
And it's Bologna as well.
Yeah. You just have to stay a little bit longer.
For a month.
I would throw flyers in the streets and people would find them. I don't think anybody will clean up all the flyers in a month. We're gonna pollute Bologna with flyers.
Well, I mean, this is good, right? If we don't get the signature stuff in time, we can just go back to Bologna again
True.
in June, all of us, and we already know the place.
Sounds good.
Okay, I'll keep it open to put it in the pipeline, all right? And Hadron QA we already discussed. So here there is work hidden. We have to mostly wrap things up and cut a release. There is no release ticket. I think we need one. Or do we usually bring in the one from the roadmap or we create a new one? We have a template for releases, no?
Yes, we have a template.
We create a new one? Or
I think so.
All right, let me create a ticket. In Kairos, I would do that. Yes. Issues. Oh, God. Where's the roadmap? I had that open somewhere. All right, then I create a new issue. Kairos release. I think it's the same ticket. No. I think it's the same ticket. I just have to bring in the release one. Wait.
I don't know. Usually, I think it's already in there. Ettore, are you the one that created it?
Yeah. So I can just
because
copy.
I just found them there. Never had to do anything.
See, it's the same one. It's this one, kind of. Okay. So I just need to copy link. Let me try something. Oh, I can put it in two boards. Project. There it is. Yes.
Yeah.
What happens if I do? I don't know what I'm doing. Wait 1 second. Put this there. Go there. Wait until it appears. Then, yeah, I mean, it is in progress. So I'm just gonna put it down there at the bottom. When we are done, we cut the release. All right. QEMU stage, do we need it before the release?
No, that's just a nice thing to have. And it's a good example to have so people can use that.
All right. Given the time we have and our plan to have a release by the end of this week, I honestly don't think we want to put anything else in because we also need to find a workaround for the dirty frag thingy, which is not even in this list. So I would leave it as it is. If you all agree.
Yeah.
William.
Yeah. No objections.
All right. Regarding copy, there is nothing you are waiting for that should be included in a release, right? That would block you later. That would require. Okay.
No, the only thing that I want to do, I want to bump the whole code of copy to 126 and make sure that everything is aligned with 4. So.
Okay. All right, sounds good to me. I will quickly check the issues list, although we might not have much time to do. Oh, that's new. That's the ticket we were discussing about Redfish. Okay. This is the one about dirty frag. Where is it though? I didn't see it in the list. It is here at the top, I think. Yes, this is it. All right. I can close this. I can close that. I can check this. We discussed it's not for this release. Not this release. AuroraBoot operator for building. This is. Wait. This is. already the case. What on earth? That's talking about the UI. Okay. The AuroraBoot web UI. Yes. Yeah, I think we discussed last time. Okay, I don't see anything else. I think we have a plan. Let me stop sharing. We're on time almost. All right. Anything else you want to bring up, guys? Otherwise, we can call it.
All good. Just let's stay in touch for next week so that we know when everyone is arriving and what plans we're going to do so that no one is left out.
Nice. Over, guys.
All right. Good day. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.